So long before digital cameras and electronics started showing up in film cameras, people used for photography and filmmaking one of these. It's a light meter, and it helps us measure the light that's in a scene, and it gives us a readout here on the screen, and it allows us to put that into the camera and get the correct exposure. Nowadays, though, every camera produced has a light meter built in. Sony, Nikon, Canon, Leica, Fuji, even your iPhone or your Samsung phone. Basically, every camera you have has some kind of light meter system built into the camera. So you may be asking yourself, why do I need to buy another expensive piece of gear or lug something else around with me? So, to explain why handheld metering is a better option, we first need to take a look at how our in-camera metering system works. So here we have our camera, our light source, and our subject. When your camera does a light meter reading, it measures the light that is bouncing off of your subjects and makes the proper adjustments to the exposure settings to compensate. And this system works fine and good until you have a subject that is very light or very dark. Light colors reflect a lot more light than dark colors do, obviously. So when your camera sees a very light toned subject, it will compensate by lowering the exposure to make sure that those white colors aren't blown out. However, even though the camera got the whites correct, it will then underexpose the rest of the image. When you use a handheld light meter, you're measuring the light that is actually falling on the subject rather than the light that is being bounced off the subject. Light meters are set to take readings at what's called 50% gray, which in simple terms means the handheld light meter is going to give you an exposure reading that is more accurate and unbiased by the color or tone of your subject. Okay, so we've gone over why a handheld light meter is better than using your in-camera metering system. And that's a good reason in itself to get this. Better exposed images are better quality images and make your images just look better and people like them more and your clients be happier. But the real power in having a handheld light meter is its ability to open you up creatively without stepping over certain technological limitations like the sensitivity of your sensor. So it allows us to be more creative, knowing where the limitations are for exposure. So correct exposure isn't generally the goal of every professional photographer and filmmaker. The goal is to make something with emotion and feeling and good storytelling, and sometimes that takes controlled mistakes. Some good examples of controlled mistakes are when you want to backlight an image to make a really bright and airy and light looking image, or even the opposite of it. Maybe you want to make it darker, underexposed to emote a feeling of creepiness or sadness or gloominess. Whatever the case may be, these are examples of controlled mistakes. And the thing is, the computer inside of your camera is not good at making these creative decisions. So what do these controlled mistakes have anything to do with needing a light meter? Now what we do is take multiple exposure readings for one image that we're going to do, and then we find the average of those. Now, if those exposures are too far off, there's going to be a lot of contrast in the light. Now, if those readings that we take in the lightest and darkest parts of the image are very close, it's going to be a very flat looking image. So finding that balance of what we want is really going to determine the look. So I know most of us didn't get into photography to do math. God knows I didn't. But it is a big part of photography. And if you start to understand the difference in the ratios of exposure from highlight to dark to midtones, you're gonna really start to understand how you can repeat certain looks and how you can get certain looks. So it's not a happy accident. It's something that you can repeat and you can control. And that is what being a professional photographer or filmmaker is. So I hope that helps some of you out that either didn't even know what a light meter was at the start of this video, or knew what it was but didn't really know why people still used it. I hope you all are doing okay and staying safe during this time. Keep learning, keep creating, and I will see you guys later. Bye.